legends rejoice! After years of waiting, we finally have a new Pirate Legend exclusive voyage to sink our teeth into. The Legend of the Veil. The culmination of our experience on the Sea of Thieves coming together in a grand crescendo to summon a tornado into the world. Though it isn't the voyage itself you should be worried about, more than those who try to steal it from you. That's right, my friends, the loot is not yours until you sell it, and you can be darn sure that other pirates are going to be out to hunt you. To find out if we would stand a chance to complete that challenge, Birdie and I decided to embark on that adventure to see for ourselves. We purchased the voyage, raised the Athena emissary flag, and we're off to the races. Now, those of you who know me might also know that I do not hold Athena emissaries in high regard. Because their voyages to date were so tedious, a lot of them end up being obnoxiously paranoid, which just does not make for pleasant interactions with them. I was curious to find out if this update was going to change the status quo, and you know what they say, you should not be judging somebody until you complete the voyage in their shoes. The first part of that quest sent us over to Plunder Valley, where we had been instructed to look for a fella named Suds, though I wouldn't be me if I didn't immediately get distracted once I started engaging in PvE. Why is this guy just like at this random... Hold up. That tornado off in the distance looked an awful lot like the one on the voyage we purchased. Apparently, we weren't the only ones trying their hands on the Legend of the Veil. I mean, what's better than completing the voyage? Not having to do any of the work, but still getting all of the reward. In a move very unlike the average Athena emissary, Birdie and I decided to sail on over to try and steal that loot. The tornado was visible from quite a distance away, and so long that it didn't disappear, we would have a chance to intercept the completion. Unfortunately, they had just done exactly that as we arrived. Our moment of surprise was gone, and the only thing left to do was fight, but little did we know who it was that we decided to mess with.
Alright, Cliff, get on cannons. Don't worry about that, just get on cannons. No repair. I died.
I'm off the ship. Good luck.
Yeah, no repair. Yep.
Well, one guy's boarding.
Yeah, I hear him, Okay, these guys are cracked. We made a mistake.
Oh god. Wow.
I just got double gunned so bad.
Evidently, we had picked a fight with the wrong crew. Brigantine's always a coin toss between the sweatiest players in the game and absolute beginners who believe two-manning it is a strategically responsible thing to do. We ended up on the short end of that exchange, so we decided to go on a different server in hopes of not getting sunk in speedrunning fashion again. You know the drill, raise the emissary flag, open the door to the hideout, purchase a voyage, and try again. Though as we were trying to find our first destination, we were immediately hit with yet another challenge.
Cliff!
Are you joking?
Brother, I don't think this is the server, man.
Screw it, we'll do it. Any smart pirate will tell you that going on a voyage that literally summons a world event by the end of it is not a good idea when you know there are PvP hungry reapers about. But I never claimed to be smart, and how else are we gonna get better at PvP if not by engaging in PvP? Besides, only because there's a reaper on the server does not mean they'll be coming for us specifically.
Hey, Cliff.
Yeah?
They're coming.
And boy was I wrong. Obviously, rank 5 Reaper emissaries have the ability to spot other emissaries on the map, making things a bit more complicated. But them being right around where we had to go anyway just exacerbated that issue. Whatever the case may be, I refuse to submit to living in fear. Rather than wondering whether or not they're gonna attack us, we decided to tackle the problem and take the fight to them. Luckily for us, the ship they sunk had returned and was waiting for the Med Reaper's hideout. We would have an ally in this fight, giving me ever the more confidence that we can take that ship down. My boarding attempt was graced by luck. That guy forgot to reload his blunderbuss, allowing me to get on and give him a taste of mine. It was another double gunner, but instead of going on the defensive, I decided to full send it with my cutlass while he was desperately trying to heal up. My conquest was successful, and I proudly announced to our new allies that I had reclaimed their loot. Though I was barely hanging on to dear life while fighting just one of them, when the second guy returned, my fate was sealed. Man, you know what would be really embarrassing? If that ship now gets away, stalls us until we run out of supplies, and then sink us! Because that is exactly what happened. We were faced with our own inadequacy time and time again. What chance do we stand at completing that voyage if we can't even sink a single ship? It seemed like the only thing that could help us would be a miracle. Well, on to the next server we go. At this point, you might be getting a feeling of deja vu. Raise the emissary flag, open the door to the hideout, purchase yet another voyage, and this time, don't forget to buy supplies. Now, what's awesome about this voyage is that your objectives are not always the same. This time, we had to find Belle instead of Suds, and assuming we don't get sunk on our way over to her, we will be greeted with a different task. I can assure you that our intention was to complete this voyage multiple times, as to get a chance to experience the different objectives it had to offer. Though if our track record was anything to go by, we'd be lucky to complete it just once. Our first destination was Crescent Isle, here I would meet Belle, who wants me to use her special lantern in order to light a bunch of ghostly fires. Once they're all lit, I would have to find one last statue whose activation would trigger a fight. I'm fairly certain that the intention is for me to only attack the phantoms rather than the guys fighting the phantoms, but they seem resilient enough as to not mind it too much. Eventually, a Soul Flame captain spawned who was very mouthy for somebody currently getting their teeth kicked in, and in his will, he left us a bunch of Athena loot. I guess we could also collect the Veilstone while we're at it. Listen, there's a lot of exposition in this voyage, and I would lie if I said that I paid attention to any of it. The only thing that matters is that we plop that thing into the Infinity Mask in order to be granted even more exposition, and our next objective. Now that we have completed 1 out of our 3 steps to this voyage without getting sunk, Birdie and I started to get a bit more into the Athena emissary spirit.
Athena's be like, a ship is within render distance, run the other way.
Athena's also be like, we haven't checked the horizon in 13 seconds, check the horizon again.
Hold on, Cliff. When was the last time we did a border check?
Yeah, make a border check.
Okay, we're good.
We're good?
Good.
Good, nice.
Good.
Very good.
Mark timer for 2 more minutes, another border check in 2 minutes.
Okay, check the horizon again, we haven't checked the horizon in a while.
Oh no! We're getting behind.
Now, I'm not saying that every Athena emissary is that much of a paranoid pirate. I mean, heck, we got absolutely demolished by that brigantine we tried to fight. But with how many encounters we had with these sorts of players, we couldn't help mocking that playstyle a bit. What isn't a joking matter, however, is my Hunter's Call reputation. I have not been quite myself ever since that episode, but know that even while flying the flag of Athena's fortune, I would continue to try and make progress towards that faction. And progress we made. All joking aside, the next objective was actually really awesome. We had to dive down to what is essentially an underwater ship graveyard in order to find a key. Now, I don't want to take the sense of exploration away from you guys, so I'm not going to show every nook and cranny down there. But I've spent a lot of time below the surface because my exploration was being rewarded with a bunch of loot, including yet another Hunter's Call reputation gem. Eventually, I found the key that would open the door, and inside the cabin, we would find the next Veilstone as well as more loot. The final part of our first run was upon us, a massive storm surrounded by an armada of ghost ships here to protect the fort from our grubby hands. Before we could tackle what hides beneath the storm to claim the final Veilstone, Birdie and I had to take out the small fort surrounding it. We had no cannonballs to waste on the ghost ships, instead opting to evade them while focusing fire on the forts. I'm not gonna lie, seeing massive stone buildings crumble in response to our cannon shots brings a level of satisfaction yet unprecedented on the Sea of Thieves. And once the small fry was taken care of, we had to destroy their final bastion. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this voyage was a bit of a cakewalk. That massive fortress we had to destroy did not seem to be able to attack us once we got close, and the fleet around us was about as accurate as me using an Eye of Reach. We had absolutely no issue completing this event to claim our loot, as well as a now upgraded emissary flag. But the true scourge of any Athena emissary was already waiting for us at the nearest outpost, other pirates. Excuse me for laying into what is very obviously a freshly spawned vessel, but once you've been double gunned into oblivion, morals become a bit more ambiguous. I went to dispatch whatever AFK player was currently hogging the outpost, but once I entered the tavern, I noticed what kind of mistake I just made. I'm sorry about that, we just came here to sell and we sunk your ship. I'm really sorry.
We literally just started less than like 4 minutes ago.
I'm sorry. We were just like, oh, you know, we got sunk so often today and we want to sell and, you know, be done with it. I'm so sorry.
It's fine, there's nothing valuable. No, it was literally an empty ship, so.
You know what? I'll give you guys some loot just to apologize. We did the Legend of the Veil for the first time, so we got a bunch of stuff that's not Athena. Shut up, Lorena!
We literally wanted to do that right now.
Oh, do you want to alliance up and, like, do it, like, both of us? Listen, I'll give you some of our loot. We can alliance up and we can both do it, and then we get, like, double the rep. Thoughts?
Yeah, bet. Sure.
Easy.
Alright. Awesome, I'm gonna drop you guys some loot. That definitely didn't go as expected. Needless to say that I felt bad about sinking their ship, but them wanting to do the same voyage as us definitely played into our cards, as we wanted to do it again as well. We got to know each other a bit as I helped them sell most of our non-Athena loot while waiting for their crewmate to bring back the ship. As a sign of good faith, we didn't turn in our loot until the alliance was up to make sure they would get their share of the profits. You see, every time you alliance up, every member of that alliance gets 50% of the gold and reputation that you receive without taking anything away from your own sell. And with Athena's fortune being one of the most grindy factions in the game, having multiple ships contribute towards that was a very desired outcome. But 50% of 0 is still 0, which means that we had to go and actually complete that voyage again. This time, the pirate lord sent us to Crescent Isle in order to talk to Suds. Now, this son of a gun is gonna give you some of the more tricky objectives compared to Bell. With only a few pictures at hand, we needed to find out which island we had to sail to next. Being the pro gamer that I am, of course I immediately knew that our destination was a lone cove. But because I'm better at googling solutions than reading treasure maps, I kind of needed Birdie to tell me where to dig. The first veilstone was secured and the pirate lord appeared once more to give us more instructions. Smuggler's Bay was our next destination, where Belle awaited us to do the whole spooky lantern thing that we've done on our first go around as well. Though I wouldn't miss out on an opportunity to play a bit of a prank on Birdie with a leftover gunpowder keg. At this point, that's pretty much a tradition every time we are on this island. The real highlight, however, was seeing not just one, but 2 tornadoes up at the same time. So that's southwest, that's theirs.
Yeah, I see.
And then north, that's so funny seeing that. There's 2 of them right there.
If we were Reapers right now, oh man.
This would be this server. Boy, oh boy, I really hope we didn't speak something into existence there, but for now, we had an event to attend. And I gotta be real with you guys, I know doing this on a sloop is really easy, but it never stops being a spectacle anyway. With our treasure acquired, we immediately made way for the outpost to ensure we don't sail around too much with valuable treasure on board. It seems like our alliance had just pulled up after we finished, which is a funny coincidence. What wasn't funny, however, is what awaited me at that outpost. Oh, geez. What the shit? Oh my god.
Get him. Oh, mine now.
What happened?
It seems like our alliance did not forget about how we greeted them last time at this outpost, and now they decided to return the favor. Remember what I said about Athena emissaries just being unpleasant like that? This is your reminder. Or at least, I wish I could say that. I was so disappointed with nobody attacking us throughout 2 whole Legend of the Veil voyages that I actually paid these guys to fake an ambush just to spice up the ending of our journey. Frankly, for an endgame voyage, the Legend of the Veil just feels way too easy to complete, to the point where summoning a tornado to draw attention to you is really the only thing making it even remotely dangerous. If you're looking for some old natural drama as opposed to made up ones, may I suggest you check out my last episode in which my crew and I summoned the Shrouded Ghost as part of an adventure? You can find the card on screen right now. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and definitely ring that bell icon to not miss out on my next upload. I hope you guys have a day filled with the riches on the sea, and until next time, peace.